You know, when people talk about football, one debate never gets old. Premier League or La Liga? Two leagues, two styles, two philosophies, and two entirely different football cultures. But which one is truly the best? Let's dive deep, not just into stats and trophies, but into the emotion, the identity, the atmosphere, and the global impact of these two titans of world football. Let's start at the beginning. While English football goes back to the 19th century, the Premier League, as we know it today, was born in 1992. It was a commercial revolution, breaking away from the old Football League First Division to capitalize on the growing interest in the game and the money pouring in from TV rights. And it worked. Oh, it worked. Fast forward to today, and the Premier League is not only the most watched domestic league in the world, it's also the richest, most competitive, and arguably the most physically demanding. But over in Spain, football's been a religion for over a century. La Liga, officially founded in 1929, has been the home of some of the most iconic players and clubs in the game's history. Real Madrid, FC Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. Clubs that don't just represent cities, they represent identities, histories, and even political divides. So from day one, the battle lines have been drawn. England's working-class, fast-paced, rugged game versus Spain's more technical, artistic, and flair-driven approach. And when we look at how these two leagues evolved, we see two very different stories unfold. In England, the Premier League grew with an almost American-style marketing machine. Clubs turned into global brands. Foreign investors poured billions into teams like Manchester City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Stadiums got bigger. Kits got flashier. But the intensity of the football? That never faded. Meanwhile, in Spain, La Liga's rise wasn't about commercialization. In the same way, it was about glory, about legacy. Real Madrid dominated Europe for decades. Barcelona became the temple of tiki-taka. And for a long time, Spain had the two best players on the planet, Messi and Ronaldo. And that's something no other league could match. Between 2009 and 2018, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo lit up El Clásico with goals, passion, and magic. The world stopped to watch. And for almost a decade, La Liga was the center of football's solar system. But here's the twist. As global attention shifted toward Spain's two giants, something else started brewing in England. Competition. Because unlike La Liga, which for years felt like a two-horse race, the Premier League became a battlefield of 6 or 7 top-tier teams, all capable of beating each other on any given weekend. Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham. Every year, the title race was different, sometimes glorious, sometimes chaotic, but never boring. This unpredictability is what many say gives the Premier League the edge. And yet, La Liga had something pure, a rhythm, a beauty, a method to the madness. You watched a La Liga match not just for the scoreline, but for the finesse, the passing patterns, the control of space. The comparison isn't black and white. It's like comparing an action film to a piece of poetry. Both are powerful. Both move you. But in very different ways. And while some argue that La Liga has lost some of its shine after the departures of Messi and Ronaldo, others believe it's just entering a new chapter. One that's more balanced, more tactical, and more focused on youth development. Meanwhile, the Premier League keeps growing. Bigger TV deals, bigger stars, bigger everything. But is bigger always better? We'll look at the money, the quality of players, the competitiveness, the tactics, and even the cultural influence. Because to truly compare these leagues, you have to go beyond just football. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's talk competitiveness. In the Premier League, there's a phrase fans often say, any team can beat any team. And it's not just a saying, it's the reality. On any given Saturday, the bottom-placed club can upset the leaders. It's chaos. Beautiful, brutal chaos. Last season, we saw clubs like Luton Town and Bournemouth pulling off shock wins against the likes of Chelsea or even Arsenal. That kind of unpredictability, that edge-of-your-seat tension, it's what makes Premier League weekends so electric. No one can rest easy. Now let's flip over to La Liga. Critics say La Liga is a two-team league, and for many years, that wasn't far from the truth. Real Madrid and Barcelona dominated headlines, trophies, and global fan bases. But that's starting to change. Atletico Madrid has become a powerhouse under Diego Simeone, breaking the duopoly with sheer grit and defensive discipline. Clubs like Real Sociedad, Villarreal, and even Girona have begun to challenge the status quo. The gap is narrowing. Slowly, but surely. Still, the Premier League's depth is unmatched. Even mid-table clubs in England boast million-dollar players and world-class training facilities. A club like Aston Villa or Brighton today would probably be favorites in many other European leagues. That's the financial muscle we're talking about. But money doesn't always buy identity. In La Liga, there's a distinct flavor to the football. Teams play with purpose. The game slows down at times. More space, more thought. It's about control. It's about rhythm. Spanish clubs emphasize youth development, technique, and tactical awareness. Look at Pedri, Gavi, Nico Williams, all under 22, all regulars in their teams, all developing into world beaters. La Liga has always been a cradle for intelligent footballers. In contrast, the Premier League is fast, intense, relentless. From the first whistle to the last, players are sprinting, pressing, crashing into challenges. It's more physical, less forgiving. You make a mistake, and you're punished, instantly. That intensity is both a blessing and a curse. It attracts big names, yes, but it also shortens careers and leaves little room for experimentation. Now let's talk style. Premier League football is driven by transitions. You lose the ball, the counterattack begins immediately. Look at Klopp's Liverpool, Guardiola's City, pressing machines. Even teams fighting relegation play with tempo and directness. But in Spain, the game is more cerebral. Coaches spend hours designing build-up plays, manipulating space, breaking down low blocks. There's a chess-like quality to La Liga, a tactical dance between structure and improvisation. And speaking of coaches, some of the greatest tactical minds in football history have worked in both leagues. Pep Guardiola made his name at Barcelona before reinventing himself in England. José Mourinho brought Portuguese fire to both Chelsea and Madrid. Carlo Ancelotti, a calm genius, has managed in almost every top league. But with Real Madrid, he's found a home. Then there are the thinkers like Unai Emery, who's now in the Premier League, and Xavi at Barcelona, trying to rebuild the club's identity from its golden era. But perhaps the biggest difference? In England, managers are given tools. In Spain, they are given philosophy. A Premier League manager gets a blank check and a deep squad. In La Liga, a coach gets a set of young players and the expectation to develop them, to make them into something greater. That's why Spanish clubs have historically done well in European competitions despite having less financial power. They know how to build systems. They know how to teach the game. And when you look at it from the top down, the players, the coaches, the intensity, the tactical variety, you begin to see that comparing these two leagues isn't about which is better. It's about what you value. Do you want fireworks, drama, and relentless pace? You'll probably lean Premier League. Do you want control, precision, and masterful strategy? Then, La Liga might be your choice. And yet, both leagues offer something universal: passion. Because whether it's a rainy night in Stoke or a sun-soaked afternoon at the Camp Nou, football is more than a game. It's a language, a rhythm, a way of life, and in both England and Spain, that life is sacred. Football isn't just played on a pitch. It's lived in the streets, sung in the stands, worn on shirts, and passed down through generations. And no two leagues embody that cultural heartbeat quite like the Premier League and La Liga. In England, football is tribal. It's raw. You feel it in the chants, the rivalries, the old stadiums like Anfield or Old Trafford, where history oozes from the walls. Every town has a club. Every family has allegiances. It's deeply personal. The Premier League matches feel like rock, concerts, loud, fast, emotional. Fans don't just watch, they live every second. And that energy, that passion, has made the league a global spectacle. Today, you can walk into a bar in Nairobi, Mumbai, New York, or Sydney and find someone in a Manchester United or Arsenal jersey. The reach is insane. Premier League clubs are global brands, and they know it. La Liga, on the other hand, feels romantic, poetic even. Barcelona's Make Un Club isn't just a motto, it's a movement. Real Madrid's all white, Kits carry decades of elegance, success, and star power. The style is different. The energy is more artistic than aggressive. But the passion? Just as deep. Spanish football culture is about pride, about heritage, about moments of magic that leave you speechless. And while the Premier League may have the bigger spotlight, La Liga has a deeper connection to football's soul, especially for the purists. Globally, La Liga has seen waves of fans fall in love with their game through players like Ronaldinho, Zidane, Iniesta, and of course, the eternal Messi versus Ronaldo rivalry. Those were not just matches. They were cultural events. But now, as we stand in 2025, the game is evolving. The Premier League is a juggernaut, commercially and competitively. But La Liga is adapting, investing in youth, reclaiming its identity, rebuilding, and maybe, just maybe, we don't have to choose one over the other. Because in the end, football wins. Whether it's the thunder of the cop or the silence before a messy free kick, the love we feel is the same. Different languages, same emotion. Premier League versus La Liga, two styles, two worlds, one beautiful game.